And here we go. Happy Tuesday, February 27th. Welcome to the TED Show. We're February 27th, and we are episode 127. So if you're a lotto person, you might want to play 27. I don't know what's going on there. I'm here with my friend Hap McMullen, and I got to ask you about Hap because I've never asked you that before.
I'll tell you that story.
I know, you got to tell me that story. Let us know you can hear us and see us. We're at the beautiful Citrus Club. Bob Kovacevic is on. Bob,
Hey,
let me know you can hear us. We love Bob. And we are always in a different room, so I'm never sure how the lighting's going to be. So, man, if I wasn't bright before in orange, I am looking pretty bright right now. Yeah, look at that. So, looking hot. Thanks, Bob. All right, so I think they can hear us and see us. So, welcome, buddy. We've been trying to get you on the show since I think the beginning.
Yes, sir.
But, you know, you're busy. You have business. You are a commissioner. You have a whole bunch of stuff going on in your life. And, of course, we have to talk about Hapco music. All of your stuff. So anyway, give us a background on you and welcome. Give us a little bit about you, even though your bio, I never do anything with people's bios, but your bio, I read through it and I was like, God, I didn't know you did all that. You served our country.
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Reserve,
That's amazing.
Reserve, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you. Give us your background.
Well, my name is Joseph Patrick McMullen. My nickname is Hap, and we'll get into that later. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, born and raised there. Went to school there, the public school. Then I went on to college. I went to Florida A&M University where I majored in pharmacy, so I'm a pharmacist.
That's right.
Came back to Miami and started working for
Got to watch this group, though, if you say you're a pharmacist.
Yeah. I'm a legal pharmacist.
Yeah, he's legal, people, legal.
They came back to Miami, started working for Walgreens for several years. Then went back to school and got my master's in health service administration.
Me too. That's what mine's
yes,
in.
Exactly, right. I know about that. Yes.
Yeah, me and Jill Gentry.
Then I started working for a mail order because I wanted to do more in healthcare. That mail order was purchased by Medtronic, and they moved out to California. And then I started looking for a job, and I applied for a state of Florida Medicaid pharmacy job. And the director told me two things. He said, I like you. He said, one thing I like you. I said, I have a good candidate in Miami, but I don't have a good candidate in Orlando. So if you want to come on board, you have to move to Orlando. So packed my things and moved to Orlando. Then here I am. Then I started getting involved.
So you moved to, and Brian says, everybody's saying, hey, Rusey, Jarrell, thanks, guys.
Hey, what's up, Jarrell? Hey,
what's up, guys? So you came to Orlando, and then you did what? Because you did pharmacy for a while, right? You did health services. Right. But what got you into politics? Because technically I need to address you as Commissioner McMullen. Instead of Joseph Patrick McMullen, which is the most Irish name, you're going to have to give me the background on that one too, that and Hap. But so you got involved in politics. You're the commissioner for Oakland.
From the town of Oakland. Honestly, when I moved out to West Orange County, I had a good friend that was living in Winter Garden. So when I moved here, I reached out to him and said, "Hey, buddy, look for me an apartment so I can, find a place to reside." So when I moved up here, he found me a place out in Winter Garden. Then me and my family, we started looking for a home, and then we found a home in Oakland. We started living there, started going to church, started getting involved in the community, and really, I was just there volunteering. We were working with this program that was rebuilding or doing some minor repairs in the community through a church on personal homes. And I started, volunteering doing that. And then somehow I got volunteered as the spokesperson to go to the commission to tell them.
Don't we always get volunteered for something? Yeah, but tell them, I wonder how many people know where Oakland is. Yeah, right, Oakland's part of Orange County, right?
Yeah, Oakland was incorporated in 1887. So Oakland's been around for
It's way west. Right, we were talking about northwest, east, and south earlier, which I don't know, but it's way west Orange County.
Still in Orange County.
Okay.
So you have Ocoee, then you have Winter Garden, then you have a little small portion of Oakland, and then you're in Claremont. But people when they get off the turnpike on exit 272, you are actually in the town of Oakland. The town of Oakland has a lot of history, a lot of rich history. The train used to come there. The Orange Belt train used to come through there from St. Pete
that's cool.
to Oakland, up to Sanford, and will go up the coast. But a lot of the produce and the supplies back in the 1800s and the early 1900s really came through Oakland. People really don't realize that.
I did not know that.
Most of it came through Oakland. Oakland was a sleepy town, but it was a lot of agriculture and a lot of people that lived there. That's where the hub was. And if you look at some of the artifacts, Sanford has a museum, and it shows you some of the meetings of the Orange Belt board meetings.
That's so cool.
And it was right there in Oakland. So the beauty of that is, that history is still captured.
Sure.
Just give a little bit about what Oakland is doing. We're about to build an art and history museum, and we're going to have those artifacts. Right now, it's being housed in Sanford. Also, Winter Garden has a museum, and some of our artifacts are there. But eventually, hopefully within the next year or two, we're going to have our own artifacts. So, but history. Oakland has a lot of history.
See, I did not know any of that about
Yes.
Oakland. So, and you are you're working very hard in the city.
Yes.
And you're a four-time.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your unopposed you're a four-time commissioner. How
So-
long is that term for?
That's for 4 years. So what
4
happened
years.
was when I was volunteering and being involved with the community, a current commissioner was retiring. And so they just asked me, hey, you're so involved in the community, you're doing some things, that you're trying to, better our community. Do you mind, being appointed? People get appointed all the time when somebody retires,
Sure.
somebody might move on. That happens almost in every community, local municipality throughout this country. So I was the one at that time that was asked to fulfill. And then, so when I sat in the seat and I started fulfilling, then I started realizing I could do more.
Right.
And then I ran for election unopposed.
Because you hadn't done political service
At all,
before that.
at all.
So you got the fever for that.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
realized that you could make a huge impact.
Right. Once you got in that seat and you start, at the end of the day, that position, you're a public servant.
Right.
You're here to serve the people. It's not about the title. That position, small town, we only get paid $50 a month, so it's not like it's my salary, but it's all about giving back and helping the community. And I really enjoy it. I'll be honest with you, that's my drug. I love serving and helping people. That's just who I am. That's just part of my DNA. You talk to my mom, she'll tell me I get that from her grandparents. So that's just who I am.
Well, at some point so I want to read a couple of questions. Yes, Lauren Bell, it looks like Sherbert. Sean McNeil, I appreciate you. Yes, who doesn't love Sherbert? People are saying, yes, what great history. Even Donna Dallas stepped on, always bringing us something interesting and inspiring. And I think that history of Oakland, I've never heard that before. So how cool is that you're able to talk about that? I don't think most people on here knew even Oakland was part of Orange County or where it was. So that's really cool. So tell me about Joseph Patrick McMullen. All right, so that is, again, the most Irish name on the planet. And since you look very pale coming from Ireland somewhere, you've got to tell the story.
Well, that comes from my father's side of the family. His father, Johnny McMullen, over there in the Alabama area. And, my father was, he was always into that Catholic and the Irish tradition. And he really made sure that we, as a family, that we knew, where we came from.
Love it.
His father passed away early when he was younger. But my father made sure that we knew, he'll say it, the luck of the Irish. He'll say that in every chance he had.
I love it.
He said she wanted to name her son Joseph. And it just happened that Joseph was my father's middle name. But she already said, if I ever have a boy, I want to name him Joseph. So it just happened that my
Joseph Patrick. And then where did Hap come in?
So
because that leads to Hap Co, right? So
yeah, exactly.
We've got to understand the history of Hap in order to move to the next phase.
Hap is really, the nickname came to me back in junior high school. So way back in the early 80s, a buddy of mine, how we all tell jokes and talk about certain people. And so a guy said to me, look at it, my middle name is Patrick. So everyone back then called me Patrick. Even though, you see Joseph Patrick, but for the most part through grade school, I was always known as Patrick. So the dude said, hey, look at Patrick. He has a smile so big, I bet he had a big smile on the back of his head. And that's where they started. So they started calling me Happy Head.
Okay.
So that's where my nickname.
All right, so I had no idea where this was going. So Happy Head.
He smiles so much, I bet he has a big smile on the back of his head. So throughout junior high school, it was Happy Head. And then, as you start getting older, it went to Happy. And then as I got a little bit older, it just dropped down to Hap. But if you go down to Miami and I go to some of my friends or some of the football games from my high school, you will have people that will call me Hap or Happy all the time.
I love
give you
it.
an interesting story about my nickname. In high school, you know how you have those superlatives, the best dressed,
yes,
the most popular, and all that. So we had the superlatives at that time. And so on the ballot was Joseph McMullen. True story, Joseph McMullen. I'm sitting next to a young lady, and it was for most popular. So she was saying, who is this Joseph McMullen on the ballot? I'm sitting, we're in the same class. So, we're seniors in high school, and the ballot is going around. And she was like, her name was Anita Curry. She said, who is this guy named Joseph McMullen? how is he most popular? And I'm sitting right next to her, but she always called me Hap.
She had no earthly idea it was you.
Or they will call me Patrick. But when she saw Joseph McMullen, she was, they put your actual
They always put
name.
your real name. I hated it when they called roll.
Yes.
It was Theodore. Everything's Theodore.
See, I didn't know that. Yes.
Oh, yeah. It means gift of God, by the way. I love to tell my children that.
Yeah. And so that's what happened. So, but it's interesting. It's funny. I really enjoy it. So, but that, like
Happy
right now,
Head goes to Hap.
Yeah, Happy Head go to Hap. Goes from happy to Hap. And some people call me Happiness. And so it all depends on where I am. But if I'm in South Florida or even in college, people don't call me by my birth name. They'll always call me Hap or my middle name by Patrick. Yeah.
So you've got all of this really heavy into service, and you've got the pharmacy training. How do you develop into Hapco and music and the arts and the youth? Because that's a big transition, and we're not just talking about some side thing that you're doing. This is really a big deal, what you do for the community. So tell them a little bit about Hapco.
So Hapco, I just give you our mission statement. It just tells about who we are and what we do and why we do it. Our mission statement is building futures through music, art, and education. That's what we do. And so our goal is to try to do all we can to keep music and arts, all types of art form, give it access to our schools or community-based programs. And we want to, have our youth to have access to those programs. And so we will come alongside schools, or we'll come along community-based organization, any entity that would like to have some kind of art program. I mean art. When I say art, I'm talking about culinary art, I'm talking about theater. Of course, music is our core. I'm talking about visual art. We're talking about dance, whatever it is. If there's an art form in a school or a program would like to have that program, and they can't facilitate it themselves, whether it's financial or they don't have the resources as far as some kind of clinician to bring that on, that's what we do. We try to come alongside programs and help them keep arts alive. Because as you know, I know when I was in high school, I know you was in high school.
Back in the Stone Age.
Yeah, music was everywhere. You always had a music class, whether it was choir or whether it was band.
Well, that's been removed from the schools or made more difficult to be accessible, I guess. But what was the epiphany, though? And I want to go back to the services. Where was the transition? Where did you come up with the brainchild of doing this? Was there something that happened or some group that you might have been volunteered for? How did you really think about starting that?
So when I was in Miami, I was working with some guys, and we were doing like marching band festivals. And we were doing, programs like that. And then while we were doing that, before we would have speakers come in and talk to the kids at a particular school. And so I was volunteering. I was part of that program. And then it manifested. We started doing a little bit more than a couple more years. We started doing more of those programs. But I would say the impetus that when it started growing, when I moved to Oakland, and I started getting involved in the community, like I mentioned earlier. And as I started seeing what was going on, I was still, trying to do the band festivals and the programs. And then some of the people I was working with, they say, hey, do you have any access to art teachers? Or do you have access to music teachers that can come and help us? And so it started growing from there. So I would say when I got to Oakland or Central Florida, and started getting more involved with the people and finding out what their major needs are, that's when it started really exploding. And then partners just start coming out of nowhere. People who say, hey, I want to do certain things. I want to teach a class. I want to impact the youth. I want to come alongside programs and help them grow their art programs.
I love that.
And then all of a sudden, it started growing, and more people start coming alongside me. And then I started saying, you know what, this is what I need to do. But let me go back to high school. When I was in high school, middle school, I was in band in middle school, I was in band in high school, I was in band in college. I'm a pharmacist by trade, I already mentioned that. But I was in band throughout the entire time.
What'd you play?
I played the baritone horn.
The baritone horn?
Yes,
I should have had you bring one of those today.
Yes. And so I would tell you that experience, I grew up in a rough neighborhood, but band was what I had. Even to this day, I have friends that I know for the last 30, 40 years, and it's because of band.
Sure.
It's because of our camaraderie. It's because of our friendship and because of our experiences. And I know it was because of band that I'm here today, sitting with you next to you, talking about what I'm doing. And that kind of brought into what I'm doing. I could give you an example. When I was in high school, this is a true story. I was in high school, a buddy of mine, Chris Morley, and myself, we were in class acting up. And Miss Alahadin, I remember this story. Miss Alahadin said, "Okay, McMullen and Morley, you guys keep acting up in class. I'm going to tell Mr. Talbert." Now, my last name is McMullen. His last name is Morley. But she said, "I'm going to tell Mr. Talbert." Mr. Talbert was our band director. And so she knew that band and music was so much important to us. And so, we knew that, we're not going to mess up. Band
Sure, that was motivation enough for you to cut it out because band was so important to you. That's cool.
And you'll be surprised, even, we all hear about sports figures. We hear about the Lou Holtz, John Thompson. We hear about all these great football and basketball icons. And when you talk to them, you talk to their former players, they talk about how important they were in their lives. These music directors, these choir directors, these art teachers, if you talk to an art person, you just don't hear the stories. But if you talk to an art person, you will find out those same people with that instrumental in their lives. Mr. Talbot was a father to me. He's not here. He's not no longer here with us. But he was one of the reasons I started what I was doing because of the impact he placed in my life.
Look how he changed the trajectory of your life. All of that, right?
He never had any kids of his own. But I would tell you, he was always concerned about us. He always, he was upset that 2 or 3 of his kids didn't graduate from high school. I remember talking to him years ago, and he was upset about that. I said, but what about the other 99% of the kids that's going on that are doctors, that are lawyers, that performed in the U.S. Marine Band? They're doing great things all around this country, because of you, Mr. Talbot. So, a lot of what we do, I give it back to him.
That's awesome. All right, so tell us about what people can do to get involved. Like you have jazz nights. So talk about some of the events that you're doing, and then I'm sure that there are educators out there, people in after school programs, people who are trying to run. Like I'm thinking of a million different people who've been on the show where they're trying to help youth and they don't have access to this. So give them an idea of some of the events you do, and then how they can reach out to you. We're not at the end. I want people to understand how it's best to get a hold of you and what kind of things that you can do.
So going back to the core, our mission statement, building futures through music, art, and education. And our biggest thing that we do is a program called Art in the Classroom. So Art in the Classroom is where we partner up with art professionals. Like I said, the music teachers, the dance instructors, the culinary arts, the visual art teachers, the highwaymen. One of the original highwaymen over in Cocoa, Mr. R.L. Lewis, has come to Coy High School and put on classes. And this guy is an icon. I mean, this this the history of the highwaymen. It just it's one of those things that you just can't just see.
That's
you have
awesome.
to really touch it. And so what we do is we bring those professionals into the classroom, and we're trying to bridge the gap as it relates to access to art. So when we bring those professionals, we try to increase or improve on those programs. And so any way someone can come alongside us to help us to bring more artists or more instructors to the classroom to help these programs grow. I give you an example right now. We just finished a 6-week program over at Evans High School. Evans High School does not have a jazz program. The new band director, Mr. Mario Ford, just got there this past fall, and he wants a jazz program. We got 16 kids in that school that want a jazz program, but he can't do it alone. So
Sure.
Dr. Otto Gomez, a musician who played with Stevie Wonder back in the 70s, lives here locally, and he plays all around town. He conducted a 6-week class that was facilitated by United Arts.
That's so awesome.
Also, Commissioner Brian Nelson. Kudos to Mr. Nelson to come alongside us and bring HAPCO on board. And so now think about this. Their school wanted a program. They didn't have the program. They had the resources. So United Arts, Commissioner Nelson brought on HAPCO. We brought in an instructor. Mario Ford wanted the class. So they had a 6-week program. This past Thursday, these kids performed. Now, these 16 kids now have the opportunity to have a class, hopefully in the fall, where they're going to start growing and building their program. Just imagine. So what would have happened to those 16 kids if we didn't have the chance to come along and partner with Evans High School? So that's what we do. We try to come alongside programs. Over in Pine Hills, there's a church called Experience Christian Center, Pastor McCrae. They have a STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math. But we in the art world, we say, let's turn that STEM into STEAM. science, technology, engineering, arts, and then
Nice.
math.
Oh, I like
so
that.
That's
That's
what
awesome.
we do. So right now we're working on doing a culinary art program now. So Ms. Jocelyn Bryan is a chef. She got a degree in physics, so she's bringing in physics and she's bringing in cooking and things of that nature. And so we're going to be doing a culinary art program over there. So we're just trying to grow this program. We're trying to bring in more clinicians to bridge these gaps. There are a lot of programs all over the state. I have programs in Miami reaching out to me. I have several in Central Florida reaching out to me. I even have programs in Texas reaching out to try to say, hey, how can you help us, grow our program? So that art class program is the biggest piece. So we're going after grants. We need corporate sponsorships. We need donations. Meineke on South Cimarron Road right now, Mr. Kevin Crum is one of our sponsors. He donates to us monthly, and those funds are going to help fuel the program over at Experience Christian Center for that culinary art. So we just need more partners to come alongside us. The other piece is we have a thing called HapCo Live, and this is something I really love. It just started with a passion of me helping kids. So HapCo Live is where we have about 6 or 7 musicians. I call them kids because all of them are either in college, like a first year, second year, or third year college. But I've been working with them for years, and we find them performance opportunities.
Oh yeah, I love this.
So right now, over at the Vineyard over in the Orlando Vineyard over there in Windermere, Matt Hadley is the general manager, and so every Saturday starting in March, we're going to have live jazz, and the performers are going to be these kids.
Yeah,
I got
awesome.
a young kid by the name of Cooper Billsborough. His father out there, David Billsborough out there in Winter Garden. His son is a jazz musician. He's going to be playing on the 5th Sunday. Now, this guy, 5th Saturday. This guy is still in high school. I have Andrew Kennedy. He plays every second Thursdays at the Vineyard. And when I say they play, they're getting paid.
Right.
And so these kids are
That's
in
the thing to
college,
make. Yeah, these are paid gigs.
Exactly.
Which is awesome because then that just gives them a taste of everything. They get
Right.
business, they get to play in front of people, they know that their performance they're being paid for. I mean, it brings a whole different level to it. But how awesome for them to be able to actually do something professional. I mean, that can go on a resume, a college app, or a scholarship app if you're already in college.
And so they're getting a real life experience. And so while they're working on their degree, they plan on a regular basis. I get people calling me on a regular basis. On our website at hapcopromo.org, there's a tab called HapCo Live. You can go on there and you can request these musicians, or you can go on our website and also see a clip of them performing. And so you get an idea. These kids are performing monthly somewhere. So think about it. They are making money, doing something that they love. Again, it goes back to what I said. We are building futures. And so these kids, this is going to be their future. Some of them may be a musician for life, or some of them may be a lawyer but want to perform on a side and have a gig. That could be their passion. It could be their hobby. But at the same time, they're getting paid and they learn the craft to become a better musician. And these kids, they 16, 17. We got Cooper, who's probably 15 years old. He's a junior over there over at the First Academy, but he's playing jazz on a regular basis,
right.
And now he's getting paid. So that HapCo Live piece is something that we love. And then one of the other things that we do, we have a thing, instrument donation. So there's a lot of old musicians out there that you were in high school and college, and
You got to let it go, man.
You're not touching your instrument anymore. So donate that instrument to us, and so we can find a home. Dr. Michael Mears was my personal doctor. We put out a plea back in December. And I went, get my annual exam, and then when I come back into the room, there's a saxophone. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I saw your email." He said, "I had a saxophone that my son played back when he was in high school. We're not doing anything with it." He actually gave me that instrument. That's part of our instrument donation program, and we're going to find a home for that instrument. We've given our drum sets, we've given our trumpets, flutes, trombones. And so again, we're trying to build futures. So what we're doing, we're bridging the gap so kids can have access to an instrument. I know when I was in school, I either rented one from the school.
Well, it's expensive.
Exactly.
Very expensive.
And my mother didn't have the money.
And you don't want that to be an obstacle for
Right.
somebody who's got a talent or a passion for the arts, for that to be the thing that stops them.
Exactly. And then so go right into that, we have a scholarship fund. And so we try to raise funds, and the purpose of that fund is really to help eliminate any kind of financial barrier. Whether a kid wants to go to a camp, we want to see if we can help them. They want to go to a class, or they want to purchase something around the arts. And so we have a huge fundraiser that we're doing in April in Oakland called the Wine and Dine for the Arts.
Oh yeah,
And
talk about that. So what's the date?
That's April 21st
Okay.
in the town of Oakland at our town center. And we have live music. Matter of fact, we're going to have, more than likely, we're going to probably have the Evans Jazz Band playing so you can see a product of what we're doing. We have a top musician playing by the name of Vincent Gardner. He's a trombone player, probably one of the best trombone players in the world. He has a jazz program over in Houston. He's going to be here. Actually, he's going to be in the state working in Miami. Then he's going to come to us and play for us. And then later on that next day, he's going to be doing some stuff at the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center,
wow.
the Lincoln Community Center, Lincoln Arts, Lincoln Jazz Center. And so, it's all these, all the wine you can drink and taste, great food.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, Chef Anthony is one of the top chefs here in Central Florida. And this is going to be our 7th annual Wine and Dine for the Arts. You can have live music, unlimited food. It's not no sampling, we're going to have unlimited food. We're going to have like 5 cooking stations, and Chef Anthony's right there cooking in front of you. But what we're doing is raising monies so that we can help kids have access to the arts. Like I said, whether they want to go on a trip, we help the kid go to a class in Tampa. We help a young lady go to a camp up in Virginia, North Carolina one year. And so we're always trying to do what we can. So whether we're giving them funds or helping them, offset some of those financial barriers, at the end of the day, we really want to do what we can to increase the access. And then we at HAPCO, we have our own jazz camp, and that's in June. And our jazz camp is a week-long jazz camp, and it's held at Ocoee High School. But we have some of the top musicians. We have Jeff Rupert. If anybody know anything about jazz in Central Florida, he's the director of studies, of jazz studies at University of Central Florida. He's one of our biggest supporters and partners. He's done classes for us.
What if you just have a basic interest and you've never done anything? Can you still come to something?
We want you to have at least 1 year of training or performing, so you can have, we help you do our art in the classroom. We will have those classes. But when it comes to the jazz camp, we want you to have at least 1 year underneath your belt, so when you are playing with these other students, you can have some kind of experience and you know how to play your horn.
Sure.
But when it comes to starting off, that's what our art in the classroom, that's how we
Which I love.
That in.
All right, so you've covered a lot, and I've got some comments at the end I'll save, but we're going to give all of HAP's contact information, all the information about HAPCO, how to access the events, how to access the scholarship program, the instrument donation, all of that. We're going to give everything when we post the video and HAP shares it. So first of all, today was great. You were awesome. What's great, I know that I have an amazing guest when I don't have to talk very much because you're focused and your love for what you're doing is palpable. People can feel it and see it. There's been a lot of amazing comments back and forth about that. And I love to see that kind of passion, especially when we're talking about kids and the arts. And it's just so critical because so much has been removed from them and all the things they have to face. Isn't it amazing that there are some options back out there where they can get involved in some of the arts instead of just going to school and being afraid all the time. So leave them with some parting words of wisdom, Mr. Hap. Commissioner McMullen.
Just look at your personal circle. How many friends do you know that's participating in some kind of music program or art program? And ask them, how does that program make them feel? Music, if you think about it, music, art, it touched all our lives. All of us love a certain song or a certain, play or a certain musical. Lion King is right across the street from us for the next couple of weeks. So art is a part of all of our lives. And so why shouldn't we do all we can to make sure art stays alive for our youth? Because they're our future.
Great.
And so I just want people to come alongside us, ask us, how can you help? Our Art in the Class program can be duplicated all around this nation with ease. I got someone in Oklahoma City that's a partner or friend with our jazz professor here. He said, hey man, you're doing some great stuff. We want to be a part of that. So let's keep art alive for our kids. Let's do what we can. If the schools can't do it, it's not their fault. They got testing, they got all types of stuff. But I would tell you, if you are a musician or you're in art, that really impacts your life. The statistics shows, the data shows those who are in art do great on the SAT.
Absolutely.
And the ACT. And so that's data that's supported. A lot of your doctors and your people in the sciences, they're musicians.
Right.
And then also it helps your cognitive skills. You're gonna, you see musicians playing today, 70s and 80s. You see older people who love playing the piano. That keeps them alive. And so we want to catch our youth early So just come alongside us, help us to keep arts alive for you.
Please do. We'll post everything. You're a blessing, my friend. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate you. Appreciate all you're doing. We love you guys. Please let's support Hap and all that he's doing with Hapco. And again, we'll post everything. You guys were awesome. Thanks for all the comments. And Hap will go back through, and so will I, and we'll respond to you. It's just been a crazy little morning here trying to get this all set up. So thank you guys. We love you. We'll see you soon.
See you. Thank you.